Kearney Live, presented by KMO-TV and 102.7 FM. Kearney Live takes a closer look at current issues and topics that matter to you. And now, here are the hosts of Kearney Live, Mike Davis, Jim Dickerson, and Stacy Bratcher.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Kearney Live. I'm Jim Dickerson along with Stacy Bratcher, and Joanne Lawson joins us today. It's good to have you with us as we finish up the first month of 2023. Let's get to the top news stories of the day. First of all, Brian and I got to go out to the football awards banquet just the other day on Sunday. And it's always good to get back to the football guys and all the stuff that goes on with that after such a great season, going undefeated in the regular season. And, of course, we know what happened a little later on. But next year, or this year, I guess it would be, is going to be great. We know this. But the one thing that came out during the banquet, we were able to give, so we here at the station give out a Player of the Week. It's the Stables Player of the Week. It's sponsored by Stables, 816. They're just over there. And go by and see the folks over at Stables. But they sponsor that every year. And so we handed out the Player of the Week awards. But one of the things that we brought up, and I actually talked about when we were there, this year, the Kearney Bulldog football team did more than just win games. They actually energized a town. And a lot of the things they did through the season actually continue going on now. It's been a ripple effect in through football, and then all the way into basketball, and I'm sure it'll continue volleyball, wrestling, and into baseball as we move into the spring. But the way Coach Minnick had the team actually not only do their football stuff, but be involved in so many other things. And they were involved with kids. They were involved with the youth players coming forward. He made sure they interacted with the entire community, and it paid off towards the end. So congratulations to Coach Minnick, the whole entire staff over there, the coaching staff, and then the team, all the seniors. We hate to see you go, but a new batch coming forward. And I will say this too, you hear a lot of people, and everybody said it even when I was a kid, I weep for our future, The right. Kids on that team, they're so well disciplined and yes, nice and courteous and everything else.
Very
and
good.
Yeah, just a great thing over there. So anyway, congratulations to the Kearney Bulldogs, and looking forward to another great season. Don't forget, you can follow Kearney basketball on 102.7 FM KPGZ. There was a game last night, one the night before. And Kelly Gentry, Andy Martin, Dan Herman, who did I leave out?
Eric Stevens.
Eric Stevens. They got a whole slew of people over there. So be sure and catch the basketball games. Brian, it's good to have you here today.
Hey, Jim, good to be here. Glad to see you guys. Is
there anything that people should know as they look at you?
Oh, man, I'm glad you did not put me on the spot there.
I think what you want to know is that you're a year older today. Yay. Wasn't yesterday your birthday?
It was yesterday, yep.
So happy birthday to you.
Yep,
we were going to sing. We chose to do that during the commercial break.
Let's do it during the commercial.
Jim was going to dance.
I was going to dance. Stacy and I had a little discussion about that. I lost. But, so happy birthday to Brian. And then I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm going to get in trouble for this. I'm going to tell you right now because I wasn't supposed to release it. But it has something kind of to do to Brian. Tomorrow is the board meeting for KPGZ, Prime Broadcast Group, and all that. And I've seen some of the notes, and there's supposed to be a story, I think, that's going to come out later in the week or maybe over the weekend. KPGZ, Prime Broadcast Group, increased substantially viewership and people that subscribed and all that stuff across every single platform that we're involved in. And we're involved in, I think, 13 or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
But KPGZ saw substantial increases in every aspect that we're involved in. So that's huge. And the reason I bring that up is because that is primarily due to one, Brian Watts. That guy right there.
Yay, Brian.
So thank you, Brian, because I'm waiting to see the final ironed out numbers. I'll see them tomorrow, but I saw the preliminaries and they look really good. And as we head down that road,
A road.
Do you like the way I do
like
that? See what I'm doing
transition. There? Well, it's not the total makeover that many motorists desired, but Missouri Governor Mike Parson wants to begin widening part of I-70 in his annual State of the State address. We'll talk about it next here on Kearney Live.
There's something for everyone at the Kearney Enrichment Council. Spark Studios' after-school programs at the old firehouse use STEAM-based activities to help kids learn, create, and find new hobbies and skills. The Enrichment Council supports our senior community with fun activities and necessary services at the Kearney Senior Center. All of Kearney comes out for our festivals, concerts, farmers markets, movies in the park, parades, and much more. The Kearney Enrichment Council, 106 South Jefferson Street in Kearney, 816-635-0566. Improve quality of life, find your place, build a better future in Kearney.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson called on state lawmakers to set aside nearly $860 million to widen and improve traffic flow on Interstate 70 in his annual State of the State address last Wednesday. Take a listen.
This year, we are requesting $859 million, the largest investment in decades, to widen and rebuild I-70 corridor and take the first steps in adding a third lane across our state.
That is good news for many Missouri motorists. There are roughly 260 miles of I-70 between Kansas City and St. Louis, but if you've driven it, you know it feels like a lot more. Parson's plan would tap into the state's historical budget surplus to accomplish a portion of that. It would widen over 50 miles of roadway in suburban St. Louis, suburban Kansas City, and Columbia, while also improving the bottleneck interchange at I-70 and US 63. That would still leave around 140 miles of rural I-70 with 2 lanes in each direction. Missouri drivers are already asking one question: when? When will this proposal to expand parts of Interstate 70 come to fruition? Well, according to Missouri Transportation Department Director Patrick McKenna, it could take a few years for construction to begin because the state first may need to obtain additional land, relocate utilities, and design the road. So, Joanne, Jim, you guys have, I'm sure, traveled I-70.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, we took I-70 all the way halfway across the country, hauling a horse trailer, and it was miserable, you know. First of all, the trucks throwing you around like you were a little piece of paper, but over and above that, you had potholes, you had rough highway. It was disastrous. Is any of this that's going to be improved going to be done with this new Biden money that's supposed to be out there? He said he wanted to contribute to the infrastructure.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
not sure about that.
Yeah.
It wasn't relayed in the State of the State.
Tap into that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Get some matching money.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. What are your thoughts?
Well,
I know you usually fly I-70.
Well, yeah, but for a long time, my wife and I were both, we were based in St. Louis, even though we lived here. So we had to drive all the way over because we chose to drive because you didn't have to worry about the commute. I-70, it isn't terrible now. It's far better than it was years and years ago. It's not the world's greatest, but quite honestly, if it were 9 lanes across, there'd still be people who'd complain and say we need 10.
That's true.
They
true.
just came out, I did see this morning actually, they came out with a new system that identifies what each lane is to be used for on the highway.
Oh.
So the far right lane is the people who drive the speed limit, right? The middle lane is for people who like to drive 10 over.
Okay.
The far left lane is for people who can afford speeding tickets and are trying out to drive for NASCAR. That's that lane over there. But, honestly, wasn't there a deal where we were supposed to have, and I think it was supposed to be done by now, some rail system that was like this lightning rail where you could get there in 30 minutes or something like that? How's that coming?
We lost that deal. It went to another community, another state, I think. I could.
Well,
be
I don't
wrong,
know of anybody who has
but
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That didn't-
well, there was before that. I had a friend who was working on a proposal with MoDOT. It was called Truck Ferry, and it was you would take the semi trucks off of the road, load them onto a train. The train would take them between Kansas City and St. Louis, so you get the semi trucks off of the road. It was a brilliant plan. He had it much more thought out than what I'm relaying here, but he couldn't ever get anyone at MoDOT to listen to him or get any traction on this idea.
But the problem I see with that is that goes with the assumption that everything goes from Kansas City to St. Louis.
Well, it wouldn't take all semis off the road.
If you live
but
in Columbia,
it'd take a large
you
majority.
just out. No more Chick-fil-A in Columbia.
No, that's true. But really and truly, that I think that the biggest contributor to I'll lose all the votes for every trucker, but it is trucking that really is the hardest on the roads, and there's a lot of trucks on the road, regardless of what people say about not being able to get product to the store quickly and all that that we're hearing nowadays. Really and truly, I think that they work hard for their money. I'm all for them getting it, but it does wear on your roads.
Yeah.
And I think, does the trucking companies have to pay some kind of extra tariff or something for improvement to the road?
I think they do. I forget where there's so many things that are packaged into other things. I lose track of where it is, but they do they pay more than we do. I know that. And the fact of the matter is, to your point, there's no other option. And because the fact of the matter is, so all along, using I-70 as an example, there are so many small cities along the way that need a truck to bring stuff to them. And so a truck going from Kansas City to St. Louis may make 9 stops, dropping stuff off along the way. So there's that. I think it would be interesting. Here's where Jim leaves the reservation for a minute, but here's where Brian starts to sweat.
Okay, here we go.
I think it would be interesting because as we've evolved through railroads and highways, interstates, and all that, we've evolved based on what we knew at the time. And then the problem is our infrastructure is so ingrained, it's very hard to go back and change that.
True.
And I think it'd be really cool to be able to go back in history to like 1900 when there really wasn't anything out there and say, okay, here's what you're going to have and here's the problems you're going to have with it. Would you design everything the same way? They have this problem I think it's in New York or D.C. I can't remember. They have a lot of problems in D.C., but this is totally different.
Don't go there.
They have an underground system that has all of their cables, wires, the steam system. If you've heard of the steam system under there. Well, that was all well and good then, but now they've got all these problems with it and they can't fix it because it's down underneath everything. And they're like, well, we'd have to literally like bring this building down and do all that stuff. So things that are subways are a good example too. Subways are really cool until they're not. There's no way to, there is, but it is very complicated to fix, change, alter subways. So I-70 is a good example. Now we have to buy extra land and try to expand out. And then, I can't remember if it was in your story or not, it's not just the land, it's all the infrastructure with it. So there's probably power lines, cable
Yep.
lines, gas lines that are running.
interesting.
I mean, all that stuff has to be moved, and it's one of those things, well, we didn't think about it at the time,
No.
and we didn't know. And Joanne, you brought this up. I don't want you to lose voters. Stacy. But
got a year.
we were talking. People will forget it. It's a news
Yeah,
cycle.
no big deal.
People were talking about it earlier, and I've heard a lot of people talk about the 92 work that's been done
Corridor.
between
Right.
Smithville and Kearney. And it's closed every summer, and then it looks like they did 500 yards.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's easy to sit back and go, I could have done that with a lawnmower and some straw. But at the same time, they have the same problem. They got to widen it, and then they've got, if you notice, all the power lines and that have to
Yeah.
be moved or
Yep.
whatever's underground. So it's a huge undertaking every time you do something like that.
That's right.
And a lot of times I don't think we do think far enough down the road of what we might do. Because if it were
Yeah.
me, and thank God it's not, people laugh. 'Cause they will laugh at me, but 30 years from now, pull this tape up. If you're going to expand I-70, I would move the infrastructure and buy the land out for 4 lanes on either side. Because that way you don't
On
have to
92
do it
highway
again.
or on 70?
Both.
Yeah.
But that way you're prepared going on down the road. Now, if you believe in futuristic stuff,
We won't be on the roads.
yeah, we'll be like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't
Yeah.
the Jetsons in 2023 too, or something like
Yes.
that?
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're a little behind.
Yeah.
Behind our
we'll
time.
catch up.
We
We're
will.
behind our time, but yeah.
Well, nowadays, I worked for the phone company for a long while, and the big push was put everything underground.
Yep.
Because then you don't have to worry about storms and all the rest of it. Your infrastructure for your telephone and internet and all of that is underground. A great option. But when you start digging, you can take a whole town down just hitting the wrong spot in the road. So the same thing applicable across 92. Yeah, a lot's overhead. You can't even imagine how much is underground. And I'm sure the same way on I-70.
Oh, it's got to
Yeah.
be worse. Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
when they came in our neighborhood, and I've heard a lot of neighborhoods had this problem when they put in Google Fiber.
Oh, yes.
They hit every imaginable thing.
Yeah.
I know they hit, in our neighborhood alone, they hit 3 gas lines, and they
Oh,
hit,
gee.
I don't even know how many times the power went out and everything else. And
They don't call for locates a lot of times.
I don't know what's going on. I see that commercial every 7 minutes, and when I dig, I call. And they usually, honestly, they come out and
They
like,
come out quick.
they come out, they're
really do.
fast.
Dig
Yes,
right.
they are.
So
Yes.
they're on top of it. And honestly, when I've done an underground project, I make it sound like I'm,
Wow, you a mole?
when I was adding my
Underground vault.
7th underground bunker, they've come out right away. And I will say, where they say the lines are is where they are.
Yes,
I've
they
never
are.
had
Oh,
them.
yes.
I've never missed and had them be wrong. But you got some stuff going on at the county. What's coming up over there? Some budget stuff?
Oh, yeah. The county commission was able to give the sheriff's department, the deputies, a raise recently. Lowest paid in the area, and so we're excited about it. We feel like it's good news, and we'll talk a little bit more about it after the break.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Electric cooperatives are different. We have a sense of pride in our local community and support the people who live here. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative supports local schools, takes an active role in economic development, and works hard to keep costs down for its members. We exist for one purpose: to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about how Platte Clay Electric Cooperative is working to achieve that mission, visit www.pcec.coop. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
You may have noticed your shoulder hurting, or maybe a kink in your neck. The culprit may be looking right at you. Your phone. Think about how you use it. Does that pain feel familiar to you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Walnut Creek serves their premium wines in true farm-to-table fashion. Their grapes are grown on small vineyards in Missouri and Colorado and pressed right here in Holt, Missouri. Their locally made wine pairs with their gourmet pizza and charcuterie boards. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Open Thursday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 90 North Main Street in Holt, or find them on the web at walnutcreekwine.com. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery, bringing farm to table to your glass.
The county commission was able to come to an agreement to pay increases to the sheriff's office during the last week's meeting. Some of the commissioners wanted to give them a raise of $48,000, but the majority of us wanted to give them $50,000 and start it right away. The majority won for the deputies, and it begins now. Let's watch a little bit from the commission meeting.
Yeah, so I'm on option 2, 50,000.
Okay.
Starting in February. I think that if we're going to give all of our other employees, a cost of living adjustment in February, I think it's only fair that we also take care of our deputies starting in February. But that's where I'm at. Option 2, 50,000 starting February.
Commissioner Lawson.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody about one thing. We've got great employees. I've met a lot of them, and I've never met a bad employee yet. I'm so pleased and proud at the type of employees we have. Nobody else but the sheriff's department puts their fanny on the line, life and death. And so we don't want to discount how dangerous their jobs can be. And we're seeing more crime move north. It's going to continue on. So I am solidly at the 50, pay them in February, and let's get this darn thing done.
So just to confirm, option 2 is the one that you...
Yes, sir.
Very good. Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. I'll just say my preference is for option 1. If the body decides to go with option 2, I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep. But I will just simply say that we sometimes want to turn budget conversations into value arguments, and I would resist that only because at the end of the day, everyone within an organization, whether they want to admit to it or not, always wants to know what the other guy's making. They always do. And I think we have to, it's hard for me to say to anyone that someone is more deserving of funds than you are. But at the end of the day, there's also a market, and the market says if you want people, then you've got to offer something that is competitive.
Like I said, I think probably the more prudent option is to go with option 1.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you. No, I stand with option 2. I would like to see our deputies making $50,000 starting in February.
Very good. Commissioner Johnson.
I'm also 50K option 2, and I think it's because that's what the citizens want. I think that's what my constituents want. I think I heard them loud and clear that law enforcement was their priority, and so that's why 50K option 2.
Okay, so you can see there, it was Commissioner Withington, myself, Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner Megan Thompson. So the 4 of us voted for it. The others would have done a little bit lower, but nobody said don't give them a raise at all. Right. You know, everybody was, the guys are the lowest, the guys and gals, I got to remember that, that's right. Were the lowest paid of any of the counties around. And when we were losing people, and good people that he'd like to have kept, our sheriff right. would have liked to have kept. The 50, I point blank asked the sheriff during the commission meeting, if we give you this, will you be happy? And he said, absolutely, this will be perfect.
It'll help.
We didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait till July like some of the commissioners wanted to wait. I felt that the men put their life on the line. They deserved it now. So I'd like to kind of have your feedback on how you all feel about it.
Well, we went through this. Of course, obviously, I would say pay them 100.
Yeah,
right.
I would probably lose on that. But we went through this in Kansas City. We went through this in the late 80s, early 90s. And what we did was we found out that what we were doing is we were losing, because we were a bigger city, but we were still losing people to the FBI, Secret Service, all the governmental agencies.
Highway Patrol.
All that stuff. And so what we did, actually, I'm not sure the Highway Patrol was one. I think they were lower paid than we were.
Really?
I think they were at the time.
Whoa.
I don't know what it is now. But so what we did was we did a study, because everything starts with a study, right? So we did a study, but what we found was the amount of money that we were losing, because we, at that time, and this is early 90s money, and my number may be a little off, so you fact checkers out there can say, but it was costing us around $100,000 to take a recruit from nothing through their training program, and not just the academy training and all that. And it took us about 8 to 10 months to get somebody from zero to hero, if you want to call it, 10 months. What we found was that amount of money, take it back and put it into salaries and retain those people.
That's right.
That's right.
Not only did we retain the people financially, but here's the thing you cannot replace. You cannot replace this. It's the experience you gain. It's the knowledge you gain of the job. And these things lead to other things. So you see things like that go south as far as police officers and the way they do things and all that sort of thing. And a lot of it, you'll hear that it goes back to training. Well, a lot of it, too, goes back to you didn't have knowledgeable people to teach the younger people how to do it. Look, I've done this before. You don't want to do that, or there's a better way to do this, or whatever. When you lose the knowledge and experience, you cannot replace that. You cannot replace it. So I'm going to agree with again, I think our law enforcement across the country is not paid one iota of what the true value is.
Right.
I do understand budgets. I get it.
Absolutely.
But I also, sometimes we race to the top line, right? This is going to cost us X amount of dollars, $900,000 or whatever. But we don't take into account all the other costs associated with it, because that takes time to look into it, and we really don't want to do that. But I think if you went back and looked, and we'll use the sheriff's office as an example, and you looked at the amount of money that was spent bringing these people through training, all the money you spent on them, uniforms and all that, every single thing you spend money on, and they're here for a year and then they waltz off and go to Kansas City or wherever the case may be.
Exactly right.
You lost the money, and you lost the experience.
And you know, something that really came into my thoughts as I was fighting for this was your statement last time. That just got me when you were talking about your husband and the saving those people's lives.
Right.
I mean, unbelievable. And then finding out that the woman was pregnant and he saved more lives than you thought he saved.
Right. That's right.
That just brings it home as to what these guys do day in and day out and why they deserve every good thing we can give them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jim, you're absolutely right that attrition is so much more expensive than retention. That's been a lesson we've learned since way back when, and I don't know why so many organizations forget that. But in the law enforcement world, there are so many factors working against their retention efforts, so many factors that they cannot control themselves, that it is a huge win when our counties, governments, our city governments recognize that a major factor, a major way we can make an impact in recruitment of these important individuals is by increasing their salaries.
Absolutely.
And what an easy, I agree, budgets, I understand them, I get them, but what an easy way to take all of those other things out of the consideration. And kudos to the county for jumping on that and doing it so quickly. Liberty just went through a restructuring with payroll, and they went from being one of the lowest in the Northland to now one of the highest. And so when the police department in your county seat is now higher than your county deputies, that's a problem.
Yes.
Well, the other thing is right now, and it wasn't this way when I came on the department a long time ago. Officers right now, especially good officers with experience, are now in demand.
Yes.
Yes.
They kind of are in the driver's seat. They can go where the better payroll is, the better budget,
That's right.
the better benefits, whatever you might be able to offer. So it's a different time. And, you know, talking about finances and everything, the question we're looking at now, are we headed for a recession? Some people say yes, some people say no, but no matter what they say, what are families doing, individual families doing to make sure they make it, and not only make it now, but are well prepared for the future? Stay with us.
Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Walnut Creek serves their premium wines in true farm-to-table fashion. Their grapes are grown on small vineyards in Missouri and Colorado and pressed right here in Holt, Missouri. Their locally made wine pairs with their gourmet pizza and charcuterie boards. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Open Thursday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 90 North Main Street in Holt, or find them on the web at walnutcreekwine.com. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery, bringing farm to table to your glass.
You value choices when it comes to the products and services you bring into your home. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative gives you control over the energy you use. PCEC offers members ways to save with energy efficiency rebates and demand billing. You even have the power to choose the resources used to produce your power. To learn more, visit www.pcec.coop/power. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. Your power, your way.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Online banking at Kearney Trust Company gives you 24/7 access to your checking, savings, money markets, CDs, and loan accounts. You can access your accounts anytime from your home, office, and mobile devices. Online banking with Kearney Trust combines convenience and flexibility to bank on your own terms. Kearney Trust Company is a partner for success with 2 locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
As we look forward to what could be in a recession or not a recession, there are many differences of opinion on this. Some say we are in a recession. Some say we're going to be in a recession. Some say we're not in a recession. Some say we're not going to be in a recession. Some people say it's going to be horrible. Some say it's not going to be so bad. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, in the last quarter of 2022, Americans put $39 billion into the credit card world. Because what a lot of people are doing now when they come up short on money, they're using credit cards to try and get ahead. This is a bad idea.
Yes.
This is a horrible idea, because you will get so far behind on interest alone, you will never be able to make up unless you get that $100,000 sheriff's job we were talking about earlier. And so those are hard to find. I'm just going to throw that out there. But so
Sheriff Aiken will be glad to hear you get a raise.
He will.
I'm gunning for you there, Sheriff. I want to make sure $100,000. Commissioners are going to hate me, but it's no big deal. Stacy, we'll start with you because we talk a lot about financial responsibility and financial responsibility of our younger people.
Right.
The problem is you can get in such a financial hole at a young age that you either won't get out of it or it'll take you forever to get out of it. And where it really hurts you is when you want to go buy your first car, you want to buy a house or whatever you want to do. So what do we do to help? I guess there's a couple of things. Number one, I don't think we teach financial. I don't even know if they have a finance class anymore.
They
do. They do?
I don't know if Kearney does. I know some of the surrounding schools absolutely do.
And we were talking, in all fairness, we were talking a little bit before the show started. In our day, a long time ago, we got our first checkbook.
Right.
And that was like the world's greatest thing. But you had those people who would go, but I still have checks left. You didn't have any money in the account, but you had checks. But credit cards are worse. So imagine being a kid and you have, and I don't know, but a $5,000 credit limit. I mean, a kid could wrap up $5,000 in about a heartbeat, and then where are you at?
Yeah, well, I've got one that's going off to college. He's going to wrap up about $100,000 in debt pretty soon, real quick. So
on a $5,000 card, that's a good trip.
But whether it's a card or whether it's college debt, it's still debt, and it's incredibly difficult to get out of it, and especially with all of the interest on top, Biden's things aside. I wish I knew exactly what they were teaching in the finance classes in the high schools, but my guess is they're teaching the basics, like how to balance your checkbook, which do we even do that anymore now with electronic checking? I think they're teaching the basics, but I don't know if they're teaching the real world experience of what happens when you get into debt, how hard it is to get out of it.
And interest.
And interest.
What interest does to your payment.
And there are so many different schools of thought about credit cards. What are they? Are they teaching get a credit card so that you can build your credit score or are they teaching the reality that all of that's bunk and you don't have to have that? So I think it comes down to you, parents and grandparents. Tell your kiddos what's going on with your own budgets. I've shown my middle child exactly what we earn, where it all goes. And when they want to spend all of this money, I show them the reality of it. And this is why we didn't buy you such and such. And it's a reality check. And we've gotten ourselves in trouble as newly married and gotten in tons of debt. And it's been difficult fighting our way out of it.
So, but you know what else, when you talk about what kids are taught and everything else, and I think this, you're in government, so we'll put this on you, but actually you don't have anything to do with this part. But as it relates to government, what kind of message does it send? Because we're hearing about all this on the national news, raising the debt ceiling. So we can't, it kind of tells kids, well, you have a $5,000 limit, but why don't you go out and see if you can get $7,000?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what kind of message are we sending?
Well, and I think Stacy hit it on the head. It starts at home. And it starts with the parents who seem to know how, also many of them, how to live within their means.
Right.
You know, that's something that's so darn important.
Mm-hmm.
There are many times I'd go to buy something and I'd think, I'd love to have that, but maybe I better not. Maybe I better hold back and let me see how everything goes. I have to have some repairs on the house or whatever.
Right.
And I think that's where it all starts. It starts at home. Government, I don't think government, big government, I'm talking federal, that they live within the real world. They have so much money when they can say, well, we're going to spend $50 billion.
Right.
To me, I can't even comprehend what 50 million looks like. And they're throwing around 50 billion. So I think that it needs to be down to the level of parents teaching, parents learning how to live within their own means, because nobody maybe taught them how to do it.
Yeah. Joanne, you are absolutely right. The living within your means is the key to all of that. I didn't even know. My mom, she did a great job teaching me, but she taught me what she knew.
Yeah.
She didn't know everything. I've had to learn the hard way. We're going to tick some viewers off right now, but I subscribe to Dave Ramsey. The way he was able to teach me and my husband how to live within our means, how we tell our money what to do. Our money doesn't tell us what to do.
Exactly.
And that has been our saving grace, what Dave Ramsey teaches. I know not everybody believes in that, and we don't do it exactly to the way he says it. But if you know anything about Dave Ramsey, he says in every marriage, there's the free spirit and there's the tightwad. I'm the tightwad. My husband's the free spirit. We don't always agree on how to spend the money.
Yeah.
He likes to have fun and take the kids out and be the good fun parent, and I'm not. But you're so right. It is all about living within your means and not getting carried away with, oh, I've got a credit card with a $10,000 limit. I can spend it.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things to your point about Dave Ramsey is the one thing whether it's finance or anybody else, find somebody who's done it successfully.
Right.
Dave Ramsey has. Now, whether his system works for you or whatever else, and you may have to vary it a little bit, but it's very easy, especially in today's environment. We just criticize things we don't like. We don't know why. So Dave Ramsey's an idiot, or this guy's an idiot. I look at people and I sit there and go, okay, well, that person seems to be doing pretty well. What did they do to get there? If they're where I want to be, how did you get there?
Right.
Because then I don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I know there are people who don't subscribe to his thing. And there are, so if you watch, what's that show? Because I don't watch it. Shark Tank.
Oh,
but
yes.
it's got 5 or 6 usually people on there who are very financially well-to-do.
Yes.
So if you're going to watch them, I used to watch, there's shows, I'll tell you a show, here's where I lose viewers. I used to watch The Apprentice.
I love that show.
Well, so we all lost viewers.
Yeah. I don't.
So for the 4 people that are still tuned in, but the thing with The Apprentice was, what I was really looking at is they had different business people on with all sorts of backgrounds. And I loved watching because they would, on The Apprentice, they would set out a task and then say, now you have to market this product or do whatever. I wasn't so interested in who won. I wanted to see the method they chose and what their thought process was.
And whether it worked or not.
And whether it worked. And sadly enough, right or wrong, there are some of those things where I was like, you know what, I'm going to try that. And I used it. Some of them worked, some of them, but it you know, it's interesting to learn from other people.
Yes, that's right.
You know,
Yes.
the game show aspect of it, you know, that otherwise nobody would watch. I get it. But so I guess what I'm saying is,
What are you saying?
learn from other people.
That's
Yes.
right.
Learn from people who've done it.
That's
Go
right.
find people who are where you want to be and find out how they did it. I am going to disagree with you, Joanne, on one thing.
Oh,
Because you said the federal government has all kinds of money,
well,
and they don't.
no, that's our money.
They
you
need
know?
to, they've got to, I think we could, I've said this on this show before, live within our means.
Yes.
There are a lot of
Yes.
things in the federal budget that are just pure wasteful spending.
Yes.
And you're starting to see more and more congressional people and senators and all that admit they don't know what's in the full budget because they
No.
never read it.
Yeah.
It would be like if you were going to have stuff in your house and they say, we're going to bring all this stuff into your house. You good with that? You're going to pay for it. Sure. You have no idea what's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look and find out you have a fishbowl for a squid and you're like, I'm not sure I need that, but you
Well,
own it.
And you know, really, to that point, the budget that we were given had a book this thick, and I do not exaggerate.
county?
Yeah, for the county. And you were supposed to, in a month, try to understand it and make sure that the money went where it needed to go. And it was difficult. We all really buckled down and did it, tried to investigate as much as we can. But it would have taken a financial wizard to really be able to sit down, absorb it within a week or 2 weeks, you know, before you go ahead and approve it. So I can't even imagine what it's like at the federal level, what they have to put up with. But the thing is, all of them go there saying we're going to stop wasteful spending. And I've yet to see wasteful spending stop. So I think they get there, they see billions in front of them, and they think, well, back home we need blah, blah, blah. And so let's get this done. Well, if you want to get that done, you got to help me get this done.
That's right.
You know?
So we talked about credit cards real quick before we go. There's always an opposing view. And this is a real interesting take on it. If you know who Frank Abagnale is, he was made famous, he was famous well before, but most people know him from the movie Catch Me If You Can. His character was played, that's what made him famous, but he was a bank fraud. I mean, he learned the ins and outs of bank fraud, and he was so good at it, he could outrun the banks at the time because he knew how the federal system worked and everything else. But he has a really unique take on credit cards and how to use them. Listen to this.
So I use the safest form of payment that exists on the face of the earth, and that is a credit card. Credit card. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover Card. Not debit credit, but credit card. Every day of my life, I spend their money. I don't spend my money. My money sits in a money market account. It earns interest. Actually, nobody knows where it is because it's not exposed to anybody to find it. It's just sitting there. I go to the dry cleaner, I give them my card. I pick up the groceries, I give them my card. I put fuel in my boat on the weekend, I use my card. I pay the marina to keep my boat in the water all year long. They put the rent on my credit card. I travel all over the world. While I wait to get reimbursed, I use my credit card. If I need euros, I go to the ATM machine, I use my credit card. I'm not going to use my debit card to get euros overseas or pounds in Great Britain. And every day I use my card, and then if I pay the bill in full or part of the bill, my credit score goes up. So I'm building credit while I'm using that credit card. And if tomorrow, and I'll do everything to protect my information, but if tomorrow someone gets my card number and charges $1 million on my credit card by federal law, my liability is zero. I have no liability. So yes, I love to shop online. I don't use a special card, I just use my credit card. If they don't deliver the merchandise, if they deliver it and it's broken, if the host site I went to was fictitious to begin with, I have zero liability. When you use your debit card, every time you reach for it, you're exposing the money in your account. The only person who's going to get robbed is you. When you use your debit card, you could use it for the next 50 years, 20 times a day. You will not raise your credit score by that much. And of course, when you use your debit card, you are liable up to a certain amount, and it takes a while in order to get that debit card fixed. So when we do post-investigations at breaches, and we say to someone, on your incident, what happened? Well, I was in Target, but I used a Visa card, so I don't know, nothing. They canceled my card the next day. 2 days later, FedEx sent me a new card, and that was the last I heard about it. What about you? And I used a debit card there that took $3,000 out of my checking account. It took me 2 months to get my money back while they said they were investigating. I had to pay my rent, had kids' tuition, everything. I couldn't pay it because they had my money.
So the interesting thing about that is, number one, I have had both happen to me, and I can say that's accurate. That's exactly how it went. The only thing I'd say, and Stacy, you and I talked about this as well, if you're going to use a credit card, I love the way he says it, not a debit card, a credit card. But if you're going to use a credit card, Visa, American Express, MasterCard, you need to, he said, pay it partially or pay it in full. My thing is pay it in full. You do not want to start racking up those interest rates because they can be substantial. You get those things every month and it says, we're changing our terms and conditions. And then, you know, terms and conditions, you read, well, the percentage of interest rate went up dramatically. And so if you're going to use a credit card, please pay it all off every time. You've got to be responsible. The boat looks good. I know you can afford it. The chartered airplane looks great. I know you can afford it, but make sure you can pay it off. Final thoughts coming up next.
There's something for everyone at the Kearney Enrichment Council. Spark Studios after-school programs at the old firehouse use STEAM-based activities to help kids learn, create, and find new hobbies and skills. The Enrichment Council supports our senior community with fun activities and necessary services at the Kearney Senior Center. All of Kearney comes out for our festivals, concerts, farmers markets, movies in the park, parades, and much more. The Kearney Enrichment Council, 106 South Jefferson Street in Kearney, 816-635-0566. Improve quality of life, find your place, build a better future in Kearney.
And welcome back to Final Thoughts. Joanne.
Yes, thank you. Here's one of my final thoughts. I've got many, but this one I'll share with you. I want to know if everybody's been to Smithville Lake recently. We have so many activities up there. It's a wonderful place to go. It's inexpensive, easily accessed, and one of the things, you can go to the marina, you can rent a pontoon boat, take the kids out on the lake for hours, however long you want to pay for it, and that's an enjoyable day. You can camp out. We have beautiful camping spots. They're putting in new bathrooms recently, you know, trying to make as many improvements up there as we can. One of the things that's up there, I don't think people even knows there, is the trap range.
Oh, yes.
We have a trap and a skeet range at the lake, and I've talked to people that live in Smithville, they didn't even know it was there. So come visit all of our wonderful activities. Golf course, great, 2 golf courses. Come up by the side of the lake, great, great, beautiful place to play. You might wait till March, April before you go, but you can come to the trap range and shoot anytime you want to. So don't forget about Smithville.
Yeah, and I went up there earlier today and tried to do some ice fishing. Did not go well.
Sure it did not. Did you get wet?
Fell right in.
All right. Well, if you happen to be in Kearney this weekend, don't forget to stop in Bees, Flowers, and Gifts. Drop off a package of diapers for the 2nd annual diaper drive to help the Kearney Food Pantry. The diaper drive ends 1 week from today. If you bring in diapers, you'll receive a 15% off coupon for your next flower purchase. Okay. And don't forget to check out the Visit Kearney mobile app for all of the events happening in Kearney. Tonight and tomorrow night, there's some fun things happening at Stables Grill with music bingo and smartphone pub trivia, so check it out.
Stables Grill, gotta love it.
Yep.
Some information here. For those of you who like to follow Kearney Live, and we know there's a lot of you, we've heard and we've listened to you. There's been a lot of people. Like I said earlier, all of our platforms have seen increased activity and all that. But one of the things that was requested is that the time change of Kearney Live, it wasn't really conducive for a lot of people. So we listened to you. And this is the last Kearney Live that will appear at noon on Wednesday. Starting next week, Kearney Live goes to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, and then it'll also, I think it has a rebroadcast that a lot of people have asked for too. So some changes. We're also going to be welcoming a third host to the show, Lynn Broughton. He was on earlier. He will be joining us, and then of course we'll have fill-ins from time to time. And is there a video that I'm supposed to be?
Well, you talked about the evolution of Kearney Live at one time, and so we have a video of that. If you want to talk about
am I
in the old days.
Am I supposed to talk about this? What was it going?
Well, yeah. Well, watch this. I mean,
okay, so
here's not the video, but look at this.
Yeah, that's how Kearney Live started. So when we originally started, Kearney Live was live with the mayor, if you remember that, and that was what, 7 years ago, something in there. Gosh. So Kearney Live has been going for 7 years. We are not quite up to the Tonight Show yet. But look at that. That is how Kearney Live started. Live with the mayor, and we were in that little small room, and there was no... Then we added a video component to it. There it is right there. It was one camera up in the corner of a room. And that actually is... he's a Kearney football player that played for the Tennessee Titans. He came in one time.
Yeah, Bo Brinkley, right?
Bo Brinkley, and that was the first Kearney Live we did with one camera. Then we switched and started adding cameras. And there's Jerry Nolte right there.
Gosh.
But we went from, one camera, then we added multiple cameras, then we added the backdrop. It looks like hail damage in the back of that. We started with one camera, we went to 3 cameras, then we changed, we enhanced the studio, and then we started to enhance the cameras. There's Stacy from way back when. Man, look how thin and young I looked back then.
But that was a good color on
you. We changed all that, and now we're in this studio here, and we have literally 9 cameras, I think, in this studio.
Just about more than any TV station.
Yeah, we have more than any TV station. The studio, obviously, in here is much bigger. And so anyway, we've just we've continued to develop, enhance, and grow Kearney Live. But I will say that everything we've done with Kearney Live has been based on viewer response, what the viewers want to see, what they want to hear about, and everything else. So the way we format and our topics are all based on what you've wanted. So join us next week, Kearney Live, 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. And as usual, if you miss it, it's also available in your car, so you can listen to it driving home, although you'd miss out the video part. So when we show little videos, you'd like, what are they doing? But if you do miss it, it's always available on replays. We're on Vimeo, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook. If it's a social platform, we're on it. I'm just going to say that. Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you here today. Look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming by, Joanne.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again.
Enjoyed it.
And we will see you next week on Kearney Live.